Hello family, enjoy this relaxing moment with Charm Stories. Remember to subscribe and share your thoughts in the comment section. Also generously hit the like button cause it means the world to us. Please sit back, relax and enjoy as we dive into the story. Layla Monroe brushed a stray curl away from her face as she sat by the large bay window of her cozy, sunlit apartment. Spread out before her was the blueprint of a home she'd been envisioning for months. The structure, with its minimalist lines and spacious interior, was the culmination of every dream she'd had as a child flipping through architecture magazines. It would be the first she'd designed for herself, an homage to her journey from a curious little girl who loved building blanket forts to an ambitious young woman on the brink of marriage and professional success. She smiled, picturing the life she and her fiancé, Daniel Hayes, were about to share. Daniel was her childhood sweetheart, the boy who had once waited outside her ballet class just to walk her home, and now the man who had promised to love her forever. She recalled the night of their engagement, Daniel guiding her to a rooftop lit by soft fairy lights, kneeling as the city skyline glittered behind him. The wedding was only a few weeks away. In just a matter of days, she would walk down the aisle in a dress she had yet to pick up from the tailor. Everything felt perfect, maybe too perfect. As she placed the final touches on the blueprint, she couldn't help but feel a buzz of electric excitement. Life was moving fast, but in a direction she'd always prayed for. Her phone beeped. A message. Without glancing at the screen, she saved her work and thought about how Daniel was running errands for the wedding. He joked about how she was the creative genius while he was just the muscle lugging all the decorations. Chuckling softly at the memory, she reached over to pick up her phone. Her smile suddenly faltered. The text wasn't from Daniel. It was from her older sister, Natalie Monroe, and it read, "We need to talk. It's about Daniel and me." Layla's heart skipped a beat. Why would Natalie mention Daniel? Shaking off the sense of unease creeping over her, she placed her phone aside. Maybe it was something about the wedding. She decided not to let it cast a shadow on the blissful moment, but she couldn't rid herself of a flicker of anxiety that made her fingertips tremble. Something was off, and deep down, she knew it. Later that evening, Layla paced the length of her living room. She'd spent hours overanalyzing Natalie's text. Perhaps Natalie had chosen to plan some elaborate surprise for the wedding. Or maybe she just needed input on her bridesmaid dress. Yet the words nagged at her. It's about Daniel and me. Finally, she mustered the courage to call her sister. Natalie answered on the second ring, sounding hesitant. "Layla," Natalie began, her tone subdued. "Hey," Layla replied, forcing a lightness into her voice that she didn't feel. "What's going on?" "Your text. It kind of freaked me out." Natalie was silent for a moment before exhaling sharply, as if she'd been holding her breath all day. Could we meet in person? I'd rather not talk about it over the phone." Layla felt the pit in her stomach deepen. "Natalie, you're scaring me. Just tell me now." Natalie whispered, "I'm sorry, I can't do this over the phone. Please, let's talk tomorrow at Mom and Dad's place." Before Layla could protest, her sister hung up. Stunned, she stared at the phone as a dull throb pulsed behind her eyes. She tried to call Daniel, hoping he might shed light on what was happening. But her call went to voicemail, and her second call to him did too. An inexplicable, cold tension gripped her chest. As she flopped onto the couch, Layla clutched the phone, rereading the message until the screen's glow faded. Something told her that the life she'd so carefully built was on the verge of collapse. The next day felt like a nightmare. Layla arrived at her parents' small suburban house, the place where she and Natalie had shared countless memories, birthday parties, holidays, and sisterly bonding over boy bands. Now, the home seemed overshadowed by dread. She found Natalie sitting stiffly at the kitchen table. Dark circles under Natalie's eyes hinted at sleepless nights. Their parents had gone out, leaving them to talk alone. Layla took a seat, adrenaline coursing through her veins. "Tell me," she demanded, her voice taut. Natalie clenched her hands together. "This is harder than I thought," she murmured, avoiding eye contact. Layla's patience snapped. "Natalie, please. I have a wedding to plan, a business to run. I don't have time for games." Natalie shot her a sharp, guilty look. "Layla, there's no easy way to say this, Daniel and we've been seeing each other for a while now. Months. Layla felt the world tilt beneath her feet. Her mind refused to process the words. It must have been a joke, a terrible, twisted joke. What did you say? She croaked. Natalie pressed her lips into a thin line, tears pooling in her eyes. It started out of nowhere. I didn't mean for it to happen. But it did. For a moment, Layla couldn't breathe. She glanced down at her trembling hands. Betrayal, confusion, anger, a tempest of emotion tore through her. Why would you do this? She whispered. Natalie closed her eyes, as if bracing herself for an avalanche of hate. I can't explain it. We were drawn to each other. And there's something else. The money you've been saving in your business account, Daniel used it. We used it. I'm so sorry. Layla's entire frame shook. She saw the future she had painstakingly planned crumble to dust, replaced by unimaginable betrayal. I can't believe this, she breathed. Her voice wavered with heartbreak. How could both of you do this to me? Natalie reached out a hand, but Layla recoiled. Her sister's tears did nothing to erase the sting of treachery. She felt her heart pounding, tears brimming in her own eyes, but she refused to break in front of Natalie. Without another word, she stormed out the door. The weight of the betrayal pressed down on her chest until she felt suffocated, every step away from her childhood home an agonizing reminder that her whole life had just imploded. Layla's phone rang incessantly as she drove back to her apartment. She ignored the calls. Some were from Natalie, some from Daniel. She wanted to scream, to hurl her phone out the window. But she forced herself to focus on the road, knuckles white against the steering wheel. Inside her once cozy apartment, she felt an unnerving emptiness. The place she had decorated with love now felt like the shell of a life she no longer recognized. She slumped to the floor, tears streaming down her cheeks. Her sense of self, the strong, determined architect with big dreams, crumbled. Time seemed to blur. She didn't know how long she sat there, trembling, before she realized she needed answers from Daniel. Her mind burned with questions. How long had he lied to her, how much money was gone, and what exactly were they planning to do next? But when she finally mustered the courage to text him, the reply was swift yet cold. I'm sorry. It just happened. Natalie and I are moving forward with our own plans. We never meant to hurt you, but it's done. Layla threw her phone across the room. The glimmer of her engagement ring on her finger mocked her. How naive she'd been to think some fairy tale romance would last forever. She cursed herself for trusting Daniel with her finances, but they'd always been so open, so honest, until now. By late evening, she was too drained to cry. In the eerie quiet, her mind raced with the implications. The wedding was off. The man she loved was gone. Her business savings vanished. Now she had to tell her clients, her friends, and face the avalanche of questions. For the first time in her life, she felt utterly powerless. News traveled fast. Within a week, Layla's landlord, concerned about her missed payment, approached her for the overdue rent. Layla, disoriented and embarrassed, stammered excuses about delayed checks. The truth was, her fledgling architecture firm had been mostly self-funded. The monthly overheads depended on the savings Daniel had siphoned away. By the second week, creditors were calling. Her largest project, a commercial complex she'd been designing, fell through when the investors got wind of her financial troubles. No one wanted to stake their money on a business mired in drama and debt. Walking into her office one morning, she was met by the somber faces of her small team. They had heard rumors. Some employees quietly resigned, citing uncertainty about the firm's future. Another tearful day ended with Layla handing out final paychecks. She was forced to shut down the business she had built from scratch. With no stable income and no fiancé to lean on, Layla made the dreaded decision to move back into her parents' modest home. Pride stung. She was in her late 20s, returning with boxes of sketches and heartbreak, forced to share her childhood bedroom with ghosts of her past. That night, as she lay on her old twin bed, staring at the glow-in-the-dark stars she'd stuck on the ceiling as a teenager, her mind churned with questions. How did this happen? Where do I go from here? Yet under the crushing weight of despair, a tiny ember of resolve began to flicker. She wasn't just any woman. She was an architect of possibility, her mind forging creations from the rubble of the impossible. But at this moment, she was just broken and lost, clinging to the faintest hope that tomorrow might show her a sign. Morning sunlight streamed through the bedroom window, illuminating the dusty boxes stacked against the wall. With a deep sigh, Layla rose. She was grateful her parents were supportive, though her father's worried glances and her mother's gentle attempts at comfort only reminded her of how badly things had gone. Over toast and coffee, her phone rang, displaying a number she didn't recognize. She hesitated before answering. "Hello." A warm, familiar voice responded. "Layla, this is Mr. Jacobs. You did some design work for me a couple of years ago. Remember my beach house renovation?" Her mind raced back. Mr. Jacobs had been an early client, impressed with her creative vision. "Yes, of course," she answered, trying to steady her voice. Mr. Jacobs sounded enthusiastic. "I've been wanting to reach you. There's a historical landmark in the city needing restoration, and your name came up in a conversation with the Historical Society. I pitched your work to them. Are you free to discuss a possible collaboration?" Layla's heart lifted, though doubt immediately crept in. She had no firm, no team, and no money. Still, the chance to work on a historical landmark was a dream for any architect. I'm definitely interested. Can we meet and talk details?" By the time she ended the call, her mind was buzzing. For the first time in weeks, she felt purpose returning. This project could be a stepping stone to rebuilding her reputation, her confidence, and, above all, her life. When she shared the news with her parents, they beamed with pride. Her father patted her on the shoulder with a gruff, "That's my girl," while her mother whispered an encouraging, "We believe in you." Layla knew it would be an uphill battle. Yet she couldn't help the small smile forming on her lips. There was a spark in the darkness, one she intended to fan into a flame. Mr. Jacobs met Layla at a quaint cafe near the historical district. Over steaming cups of coffee, they pored over the file for the old Athena Theater, a once grand building from the 1920s with Art Deco flourishes. Its marbled foyer and ornate balconies needed urgent restoration to meet modern safety standards, yet maintain its classic charm. Layla traced her finger along the building's original blueprint, excitement rising with each detail. This place was beautiful. I can already see how the old and new can merge, sustainability features disguised within the classic design. Mr. Jacobs nodded, impressed by her immediate insights. "Exactly why I recommended you. I've seen how you blend innovation with respect for tradition. Can you handle it alone, though? The city's bidding process is rigorous." The question stung, reminding her that her firm was gone. But she drew in a breath. "I'll assemble a small team of experts, engineers, historians, craftspeople. I can do this." He shook her hand, sealing the deal. As Layla walked back to her car, a sense of purpose revitalized her. She was far from financially stable, but this project offered more than a paycheck. It was her chance to rise above betrayal, to prove she could stand on her own. That evening, she moved her drafting table into her parents' cramped garage and set up a makeshift studio. The fluorescent overhead light flickered, the concrete floor was cold beneath her feet, and boxes of old family memories took up space in every corner. But Layla had never felt more determined. Sketch after sketch, she poured her heartbreak into each line, each concept. She saw her shattered dreams reflected in the theater's crumbling walls. If she could restore the Athena Theater, maybe she could restore her own life. Life had an uncanny way of kicking Layla when she was down. 2 weeks into her project planning, she found herself scrolling through social media during a midnight break. Her heart nearly stopped when she stumbled upon an announcement. Natalie Monroe and Daniel Hayes launch Hayes and Monroe Interiors. Her hand shook as she read the post. There they were, smiling in a glossy promotional photo, champagne glasses in hand, celebrating the opening of their high-end interior design firm. They touted a combination of artistic vision and business acumen, qualities they had both, ironically, stolen from Layla's world. Anger flared in her chest. They weren't just content with robbing her heart and money. Now they were entering her industry. A slideshow of images showed their lavish office space. Marble floors, gold-accented desks, and enormous potted plants. Comments rolled in, congratulating them, praising their power couple dynamic. Layla clicked on the firm's website. The gallery showcased preliminary designs that boasted sleek lines and extravagant finishes. It stung to see Daniel carrying the same confidence he once used to champion her. He was out in front, marketing his new venture, while Natalie was praised for her unique touch and eye for detail. Steeling herself, Layla closed the page. She refused to let them distract her from restoring the Athena Theater. If anything, their shameless display only fanned the flames of her determination. She would prove her worth. She'd show the world that her talent and character shone brighter than any betrayal. Word of the Athena Theater restoration spread quickly in local architecture circles, boosting Layla's reputation bit by bit. Late one afternoon, while she was fine-tuning design plans in her parents' garage, her phone buzzed with a video call request from an old high school friend, Jordan Blake. The last she'd heard of Jordan, he had become a tech entrepreneur with a knack for spotting promising ventures. They'd been friendly in school, shared classes, study groups, but lost touch after graduation. Curious, Layla answered. Jordan's face appeared, sporting a broad grin and wearing trendy glasses. Layla Monroe, how on earth have you been? She gave a wry smile. I'm dealing with a lot, but still kicking. Jordan frowned. I heard some rumors about Daniel and Natalie. I'm sorry, Layla. That's messed up. She cleared her throat, wanting to avoid the painful subject. It is what it is. Life moves on. Jordan nodded sympathetically. Listen, I've followed your architecture journey from afar. Your skill is incredible. I also heard about the Athena Theater project. I'd love to meet and see if there's a way I can help. I'm looking to invest in unique ventures, and sustainable architecture intrigues me. Layla blinked, surprised by the offer. I could use some backing, she admitted. I lost almost everything, so any help is welcome. Jordan's grin widened. Then let's talk details. But not over a video call. How about dinner? They arranged to meet the next night. After the call ended, Layla stared at the blank garage wall, hope flickering. Maybe Jordan's support was exactly what she needed, both financially and emotionally, to rebuild. They met at an upscale restaurant downtown. Seated at a corner table, Jordan listened intently as Layla explained the scope of her vision not just for the Athena Theater, but for a future architectural firm focused on sustainability. The conversation flowed effortlessly, reminding them both of the camaraderie they once shared in late-night study sessions. I've saved a decent amount of capital to invest, Jordan said, leaning forward. My biggest concern is seeing a solid plan for growth. But from what you've told me, your ideas are exactly what the market is craving. Green architecture, energy-efficient homes, plus creative restorations like the Athena. Layla toyed with her water glass. It won't be easy. I'm building from scratch. But I'm all in. Jordan chuckled. If anyone can pull it off, it's you. I remember how you used to correct our geometry teacher, Ms. Rivera, on blueprint angles. You've always been a visionary. A flush of gratitude warmed Layla's cheeks. She had almost forgotten the confident girl she once was. I was so intense back then, she admitted with a small laugh. Intensity is good, Jordan replied. I'll draft up some investment terms. We can create a new business entity. Monroe Designs, maybe? It has a nice ring to it. Layla felt a thrill. Monroe Designs. I like it. Let's do it. They raised their glasses to toast the new beginning. For the first time since her world fell apart, she felt the spark of promise in her soul. She was forging a fresh path, one that belonged solely to her. Monroe Designs launched with a modest website and a bold mission statement, innovating the future with sustainable vision. Jordan used his tech savviness to optimize online presence, and Layla's design concepts captured the imagination of environmental advocates. Within weeks, short video clips of Layla discussing the importance of blending tradition with eco-friendly design began circulating online. Her calm, focused demeanor and crystal-clear passion resonated with viewers. Who is this rising star in architecture? Some questioned. Before long, the hashtag Layla Monroe Designs began trending. Layla woke one morning to find her inbox flooded with inquiries, from local businesses wanting eco-friendly redesigns, to international journalists requesting interviews about sustainable architecture. She was stunned. Could going viral really happen this quickly? Over coffee, Jordan read the skyrocketing analytics. Your videos have been shared by a few high-profile eco-influencers. People love a comeback kid story, and they respect your emphasis on the environment, he explained. Layla's heart pounded with excitement. She wasn't just some jilted fiancé reeling from betrayal. She was an emerging leader in a field that merged art and responsibility. She responded to media requests, discussing her background and explaining why sustainability mattered. One morning, she received a message from the producer of a popular TV morning show, inviting her to talk about her work. Still reeling from the unexpected spotlight, she accepted. Unbeknownst to her, that appearance would catapult Monroe Designs into a global conversation. The dream she'd once laid out on a blueprint was unfolding in real time, and the world was watching. Meanwhile, Natalie and Daniel basked in what appeared to be unstoppable success. Their luxurious office often appeared in social media photos, with Natalie expertly curating every post to showcase her impeccable taste. Daniel, dressed in tailored suits, charmed potential clients during parties at upscale venues. The glitter of money and status surrounded them. Underneath the glossy surface, though, rumors circulated about how exactly they'd funded their rapid rise. Some whispered about borrowed capital and shady deals. But the general public only saw the curated image of a thriving it couple in the design world. Late one evening, alone in her parents' garage office, Layla found herself scrolling through their photos again. She couldn't help but feel a stab of pain at seeing Daniel's arm wrapped around her sister's waist in pictures that screamed wealth and romance. Pain gave way to anger when she recalled how they had stolen her savings to launch this firm. She exhaled slowly, turning her eyes to the newest sketches on her desk. The line work for the Athena Theater's main lobby, the fresh designs for solar panels hidden behind the building's ornate facade, and a palette of sustainably sourced materials. This was her real revenge. Success without shortcuts. Monroe Designs might not have lavish champagne parties, but it had genuine integrity and a growing fan base. Layla clung to that truth, letting it fuel her determination. While Natalie and Daniel played their game of public opulence, Layla was building a foundation that would stand the test of time, something far more meaningful than a social media facade. With so many new eyes on Monroe Designs, Layla felt the pressure to deliver perfection, especially on the Athena Theater project. Halfway through the restoration, disaster struck. A structural assessment revealed hidden damage in the building's support beams, which meant a significant part of the old framework had to be torn down and rebuilt. Costs skyrocketed. The timeline was thrown into chaos. Sponsors threatened to withdraw unless she found a workable solution. One stressful day, she locked herself in the dusty project office within the Athena Theater, gazing at the peeling murals on the walls, questioning if she'd taken on more than she could handle. Her phone buzzed. It was Jordan, checking on her. "How bad is it?" he asked. "Pretty bad," Layla sighed. "We need specialized craftsmen to preserve certain historical elements, and the rest is a total rebuild. It's going to eat into our budget, maybe beyond it." There was a pause before Jordan's calming voice returned. "Do we quit?" Layla closed her eyes, imagining the wrecked scaffolding and the thick clouds of dust that haunted her days. Despite her exhaustion, the thought of giving up made her chest tighten. "I can't quit. This project feels like a mirror of my life. If I walk away now, I'll always wonder if I could have saved it." Jordan's response was immediate. "Then we move forward. I'll rework the finances. We'll look for additional sponsors, launch a crowdfunding initiative focused on preserving local history. We'll figure it out." It wasn't easy, but with Jordan's unwavering support, Layla pressed on. The next few weeks tested her patience and skill. Yet each victory, like salvaging original stained glass windows, energized her team. Slowly, morale rebounded, and sponsors stayed on board. And with that renewed determination, the Athena Theater inched closer to its revival, and so did Layla's confidence. Industry buzz grew around Monroe Designs and the Athena Theater's ambitious restoration. Soon, Layla received an invitation to a high-profile architecture and interior design expo, the kind of event that showcased the sector's biggest names. On the expo's grand opening night, Layla glided through the venue in a simple but elegant black dress. Various booths featured cutting-edge designs, interactive displays, and booths manned by well-known firms. People recognized her from her recent media coverage, stopping to congratulate her or ask about the theater's progress. Then, in the middle of the expo floor, she spotted them, Natalie and Daniel, flanked by their staff, sporting name tags that read Hayes and Monroe Interiors. Layla's stomach twisted. She tried to turn away, but it was too late. Natalie had seen her. A tense hush fell over the nearby crowd as the two sisters locked eyes. Natalie's face paled, though she lifted her chin as if to maintain composure. Daniel's expression was unreadable, a blend of apprehension and guilt. Layla felt a surge of anger and pain, but she stood her ground. Someone nearby whispered, "That's them. Sisters turned rivals." Another voice said, "Didn't the fiancé leave one for the other?" Unsure whether to confront or walk away, Layla froze. Daniel finally broke the tension, stepping forward with forced politeness. "Layla," he said softly, "hello." Trying to keep her composure, Layla responded, "Daniel." "Natalie." Her voice trembled only slightly. Natalie's eyes brimmed with regret. "Layla, can we please talk in private?" A flicker of pity mingled with fury in Layla's chest. She squared her shoulders and spoke in a low but resolute voice. "We have nothing to discuss right now. I'm here for my work, just like you." Onlookers murmured. Cameras flashed. Layla's heart hammered as she turned on her heel and walked away, ignoring the swirl of gossip behind her. She'd never felt so exposed, yet something in her chest felt lighter. She was no longer the wounded victim. She was standing tall in her own power. Undeterred by personal drama, Layla channeled her energy into finalizing a pitch for an ambitious project, a futuristic eco-city concept on the outskirts of a booming metropolis. A tech conglomerate was offering a multi-million-dollar contract for a sustainable living community, complete with carbon-neutral housing and green public spaces. Monroe Designs faced stiff competition, including top firms from around the globe, firms with vast resources and big reputations. Yet Jordan believed in Layla's innovative vision, building structures that integrated with nature without sacrificing modern comforts. On the day of the final presentation, Layla stood in a sleek conference room, her digital display showcasing breathtaking models of curved buildings surrounded by solar panel canopies and extensive rooftop gardens. She spoke passionately about how the community would recycle water, minimize waste, and incorporate advanced green technology. The committee asked rapid-fire questions, testing her technical knowledge and feasibility studies. Layla handled each query with poised confidence, her voice unwavering. After what felt like an eternity, the committee members whispered amongst themselves and then smiled. The lead representative extended his hand. Monroe Designs had won the contract. A hush of disbelief filled the room before Layla and Jordan broke into broad smiles, shaking hands all around. They'd beaten not just global competitors, but also Hayes and Monroe Interiors, which had submitted a separate, less comprehensive design plan. This was a massive coup, one that would shape Layla's legacy and put her squarely on the map as a pioneering architect. News of Monroe Designs' multimillion-dollar contract spread like wildfire. The international press latched onto the human interest angle, a young architect betrayed by her fiancé and sister, only to emerge stronger, reshaping the future of sustainable architecture. Major news outlets requested interviews. Layla found herself juggling site visits, design revisions, and media appearances. The camera lights no longer intimidated her. She spoke eloquently about her journey from heartbreak to resilience, emphasizing how adversity often breeds creativity. One popular morning talk show invited her to share the stage with other female entrepreneurs. Layla's segment drew the largest viewership of the day. Her honest recounting of personal and professional betrayal struck a chord with audiences who saw in her a testament to perseverance. Still, the glare of the spotlight wasn't always easy. Journalists inevitably probed her about Natalie and Daniel. She learned to remain composed, offering diplomatic responses like, "I wish them well. My focus now is on the incredible opportunities ahead." Behind the scenes, she continued working late nights, revising blueprints for the Eco-City project, and monitoring progress on the Athena Theater restoration. She felt stretched thin but was buoyed by the realization that she was truly shaping something larger than herself. At the peak of her newfound success, a chilling email landed in Layla's inbox with the subject line, "Stop or else." The message was brief, typed in all caps, "Quit the ECO City project before it destroys you. Your reputation won't survive what we have planned." Her pulse quickened. She reread the email twice. Who would threaten her like this, and why? Could Natalie or Daniel be behind it, or was it someone else threatened by her rising influence? She called Jordan immediately, her voice shaky. "I got a threatening email. It's ominous. They're warning me to drop the Eco City project." Jordan's tone turned serious. "We can't brush this off. I'll contact our legal advisor. We'll figure out how to report it. You okay?" Layla swallowed hard. "I don't scare easily, but I don't like this. I don't want anyone sabotaging what we've built, especially the Eco City. Too many people are counting on us." Jordan assured her they'd handle it. But that night, even as she reviewed design plans, an unsettling sense of vulnerability gnawed at her. She checked the locks on the doors twice and jumped at the sound of every creak in the house. The threat underscored the stakes of her success. She wasn't just the underdog anymore, she was a force to be reckoned with. And someone out there clearly wanted to tear her down. Jordan wasted no time helping Layla hire a private investigator, a former police detective named Carla Reyes with a reputation for thoroughness and discretion. Carla came by Layla's makeshift home office, discreetly parked her sedan outside, and walked in wearing a no-nonsense demeanor. She flipped open a small notebook. "Let's start with your suspicions. Who might have a motive to harm you professionally or personally?" Layla shrugged, massaging her temples. "My ex, Daniel, and my sister, Natalie. But we haven't had direct contact besides a brief run-in at an expo. There are also big players in the design competition. Could they see me as a threat?" Carla nodded, jotting down names and potential angles. "We'll examine digital footprints, the email's origin, and any suspicious communications. If we find illegal activity, we'll notify the authorities." Layla felt a wave of relief. "Thank you. I appreciate it. This project is vital, not just for me, but for everyone counting on a sustainable model for the future." Carla gave a confident smile. "We'll get to the bottom of this." Within hours, Carla began tracing IP addresses and delving into public records, scanning for any sign of orchestrated sabotage. Layla's anxieties eased slightly, knowing a professional was on the case. Yet, as day turned to night, she couldn't shake the eerie feeling that her every step was being watched. The cost of success, it seemed, was a target on her back. Carla Reyes's investigation soon yielded shocking information. Late one afternoon, she showed up at Jordan's office, where Layla had just finished a conference call. Carla's expression was grave. "I've discovered that Natalie and Daniel have been engaging in questionable business practices. They're under suspicion for embezzling funds from multiple clients. There's a pattern of inflated invoices and incomplete deliveries. The paper trail is messy, but it looks like they're funneling money into personal luxuries." Layla's heart sank. She remembered how they had stolen her own savings, never imagining they'd keep on stealing from others. "So they're basically con artists now?" Carla nodded. "That's what it looks like. The threatened sabotage might be connected. Either they or an associate want to ensure your projects fail, perhaps to shift attention away from their own illegal dealings." Jordan placed a hand on Layla's shoulder. "We have enough evidence to protect ourselves. But what do we do next?" Carla tapped her notebook. "We could go to law enforcement. However, I want to gather a bit more evidence before we move. That way, we can build a stronger case." Layla closed her eyes, torn between sorrow for her sister's fall from grace and anger at the betrayal that continued to unfold. "Keep digging," she told Carla. "We need to make sure justice is served, not just for me but for anyone else they've defrauded." The revelations stirred a vortex of emotions. Natalie and Daniel's betrayal had morphed into a full-blown criminal enterprise. Layla felt a grim determination. She would not let them drag her name, or her dream, through the mud any longer. Armed with Carla's findings, Layla decided to file a lawsuit against Natalie and Daniel for theft of her initial business savings and any subsequent financial misconduct that had affected her ventures. The news caused a stir throughout the design community. Media outlets jumped on the story, labeling it the betrayal saga of the Monroes. Layla's lawyer, a sharp-minded woman named Regina Cole, outlined the strategy. "We'll present evidence of the unauthorized transactions Daniel made from your accounts, plus any proof tying Natalie to the scheme. Their lavish office launch might have been funded with your money." Layla exhaled, recalling how easily she had trusted Daniel with joint account information. "I never thought I'd be sitting here suing my own sister," she murmured. Regina's eyes softened. "It's unfortunate, but you have every right to seek justice." Court documents were filed, and a hearing date was set. Reporters swarmed Layla outside her office, peppering her with questions about the lawsuit. She maintained a calm exterior, repeating that the legal process would reveal the truth. Meanwhile, Carla continued to gather more evidence of Natalie and Daniel's wrongdoing. Each new piece felt like a stab to Layla's heart, every invoice falsification, every suspicious bank transfer. Yet, with each discovery, she grew more convinced she was doing the right thing. Justice, she realized, wasn't just about personal vindication. It was about preventing the duo from harming others. If that meant facing Natalie in court, so be it. Amid the whirlwind of legal drama, media chaos, and business growth, Layla found an unexpected anchor in Jordan. Their professional collaboration had brought them closer, late-night strategy sessions often dissolving into candid conversations about life and what truly mattered. One evening, they took a break from their laptops, the city lights twinkling through Jordan's office window. Jordan hesitated before reaching out and gently tucking a stray lock of hair behind Layla's ear. "You know, I was always in awe of you back in high school," he admitted, his eyes reflecting warmth. "I watched you sketch your dream buildings in the margins of your notes and thought, she's going places." Layla felt her cheeks warm, memories of teenage innocence flooding back. "I remember you built your own computer in our sophomore year. Everyone said you were going to be some tech mogul." He laughed softly. "We've both come a long way since then. And now, here we are." A gentle current of electricity passed between them, built on mutual admiration and the shared challenges they'd faced. Layla, uncertain of the boundary between friendship and something deeper, found herself leaning in. Jordan met her halfway, and their lips touched in a tender, searching kiss that left them both breathless. When they broke apart, Layla's eyes glistened with the complexity of emotions swirling inside her. Fear of vulnerability, relief in finding someone she could trust, excitement about what could be next. Jordan pressed his forehead against hers. "I don't want to complicate things, but I can't pretend I don't have feelings for you." Smiling through a tangle of emotions, Layla whispered, "Complication seems to be my middle name these days. Let's figure it out together." As Layla's personal life blossomed, Natalie and Daniel's professional facade began to crumble under legal and public scrutiny. Clients demanded refunds for incomplete projects. Investigations revealed shady accounting. Their once lavish social media posts dwindled, replaced by panicked messages trying to do damage control. Soon, news broke that Hayes and Monroe Interiors had defaulted on several contracts. Contractors accused them of non-payment. Online reviews turned scathing. Banks froze accounts. In the midst of this implosion, images circulated of Daniel leaving their swanky office with boxes of documents, head bowed low, avoiding paparazzi. Natalie was spotted arguing with him on a sidewalk, her hair disheveled, tears streaking her face. The public downfall was swift and merciless. Layla watched the spectacle from afar. Though part of her felt vindicated, especially after the pain they caused, she couldn't ignore the sorrow that came with seeing her sister and former fiancé unravel publicly. Her parents were devastated, torn between supporting Layla and worrying about Natalie's future. Nonetheless, the lawsuit pressed on. The evidence was damning, and even though the wheels of justice turned slowly, it was clear that Natalie and Daniel's empire was rapidly collapsing under the weight of their own duplicity. One rainy afternoon, Layla's phone buzzed with an unknown number. Against her better judgment, she answered. A trembling voice emerged. "Layla, it's Natalie. Please don't hang up." Layla inhaled sharply, her muscles tensing. "What do you want?" Natalie's voice cracked. "My world is falling apart. The firm is gone. Daniel is in deep trouble. I want to apologize for everything. I know I don't deserve your forgiveness, But I need you to know I'm sorry. Layla's chest tightened. She pictured her sister as a child, bright-eyed with messy pigtails, playing silly games in their backyard. Now that same sister had betrayed her in the most personal way. And yet, the blood bond tugged at Layla's heart. Silence stretched between them. Then Natalie choked back a sob. I regret it all. What happened with Daniel, the money, hurting you. I don't expect you to take me back into your life, but I can't carry this guilt anymore. Layla squeezed her eyes shut, tears threatening to fall. She thought of everything she'd endured, losing her business, her fiancé, her dream wedding. She'd rebuilt from ashes, finding strength and love again. Was forgiveness the last step in her healing? With a trembling voice, she finally spoke. Natalie, I can't pretend everything is okay. But holding on to hate will only hurt me more. I'm choosing to let go of the anger. I hope you learn and grow from this. But I can't walk this path for you. Natalie let out a shaky breath. Thank you, she whispered. I understand. Layla hung up, her emotions swirling. She felt a burden lift, like a final weight was released from her heart. In the days following Natalie's call, Layla wrestled with the idea of withdrawing the lawsuit. After all, Natalie seemed genuinely remorseful. But Regina, her lawyer, insisted, this isn't just about personal feelings. It's about accountability for the funds they stole and the fraud they committed. Layla's parents urged her to be compassionate. Natalie's your sister, her mother reasoned. Is there room for mercy? On the other side, Jordan reminded her, if they aren't held responsible, they'll keep hurting others. You can always personally forgive Natalie but still pursue justice in court. Ultimately, Layla decided to proceed with the lawsuit, at least until the legal system reviewed the extent of the damages. If Natalie cooperated with restitution, the case might settle. But backing down entirely meant enabling them to escape the consequences of their actions. It was one of the hardest choices Layla had ever made. Yet, as she signed the updated legal documents, she felt a clarity of purpose. Accountability didn't mean she wished her sister ill. It meant she was refusing to be complicit in Natalie and Daniel's wrongdoing. That night, she wrote in her journal, I forgive, but I won't forget. This is the line I must walk for my own integrity. With the Athena Theater's restoration nearly complete, Layla received an invitation to present the Eco-City concept at an international sustainability summit in Geneva. World leaders, environmental activists, and top architects would gather to discuss the future of green living. Layla flew out with Jordan, excitement threading through her nerves. Standing before a large audience in a modern conference hall, she stepped up to the podium. Behind her, sweeping digital slides showcased her vision for an interconnected urban ecosystem that harmonized with the environment. Her voice echoed with conviction. Sustainability isn't a buzzword. It's our moral responsibility to ensure that future generations inherit a world where nature and innovation coexist. My life has taught me that from destruction can come rebirth, like a phoenix rising from ashes. Our cities can do the same, if we design them with empathy and intelligence. Applause thundered through the hall. Standing ovations followed. As Layla left the stage, several high-profile figures approached, offering to partner on pilot programs, from solar initiatives in Africa to sea-level management in coastal Asia. Jordan, beaming with pride, whispered, "You just took on the world stage, and won." Layla's heart soared. She realized that her personal turmoil had shaped her resilience, fueling a vision that now resonated globally. Back home, Layla was wrapping up a day's work at the office of Monroe Designs when the reception desk buzzed. "Layla, there's a man here asking to speak with you. He says he's Daniel Hayes." A jolt of shock coursed through her. Daniel. She hadn't seen him since the Expo confrontation. Curiosity and dread tangled in her stomach. "Send him in," she replied, voice wavering slightly. Daniel entered, looking like a shadow of his former confident self. His once pristine suit was wrinkled, and dark circles underscored his eyes. He stood quietly by the door until Layla, arms folded, finally said, "What do you want?" He let out a ragged sigh, eyes downcast. "I came to apologize. I've lost everything. My business, my reputation. Natalie and we're done. I know I can't undo the pain I caused, but—" Layla's heart pounded. The man who once promised her the world now stood before her, broken. She recalled the love they'd shared, the betrayal that followed. She willed herself to remain calm. "You want to apologize? You think that will change anything?" He lifted his gaze, tears brimming. "I don't expect forgiveness. But I wanted to tell you face to face. I was wrong, driven by ambition. It was my fault. I just—" His voice trailed off, thick with regret. Layla closed her eyes, controlling the tide of emotions. "You need to leave, Daniel. I've moved on. I have a new life, new priorities. I'm done letting the past dictate my future." Daniel's shoulders slumped. He nodded once, turned, and walked out the door without another word. As he left, Layla exhaled deeply. She felt no pity, no desire to turn back. She was free. With every passing day, Layla sensed her influence growing, especially among aspiring architects and young professionals. University students started emailing her, asking for advice on breaking into sustainable design. High school girls reached out on social media, inspired by her story of triumph over heartbreak. She began visiting local colleges and offering workshops. Standing in front of eager audiences, she explained not just the technical facets of architecture but the mindset required to survive professional setbacks. "Your greatest blueprint is the one you design for yourself," she often said, quoting her own journey. Her father, once worried about her future, now bragged to neighbors about her international acclaim. Her mother compiled press clippings in a scrapbook. At times, Layla felt overwhelmed by the spotlight, but she reminded herself that this was bigger than personal fame. It was about demonstrating resilience, showing that adversity could be the fuel for extraordinary achievement. Her relationship with Jordan blossomed too, though they tried to keep personal displays at a minimum in the workplace. Still, sly smiles and brief hand squeezes in hallways belied a deepening affection. She felt safe in his presence, a stark contrast to the chaos that once defined her romantic life. Everything about her world now felt purposeful and aligned with the woman she'd fought to become. The success of the Eco-City project triggered a flood of new offers for Monroe Designs. Major corporations, nonprofits, and governments clamored to collaborate on sustainable office buildings, eco-friendly resorts, and community-driven urban redevelopments. Layla and Jordan tackled the expansion carefully, eager to keep their core values intact. Offices opened in 4 major cities: Los Angeles, London, Tokyo, and Dubai, each specializing in locally relevant sustainability solutions. She hired a diverse team of architects, engineers, and environmental scientists, ensuring that innovation and ethics remained at the forefront. Between flights, site visits, and media appearances, Layla sometimes felt dizzy with the pace of it all. But seeing the Monroe Designs logo on city skyscrapers and rural developments alike filled her with awe. Just 2 years ago, she was living in her parents' home, nearly penniless and heartbroken. Now, she was at the helm of a global enterprise, yet she never forgot the lessons of humility and empathy that heartbreak taught her. Even as conference calls stretched late into the night and design proposals stacked up on her desk, she took moments to breathe, to remember how far she had come, and to remain grateful for each step. While Layla soared, Natalie's life took a quieter turn. With the legal case still pending, she managed to avoid jail time by agreeing to cooperate and paying partial restitution using whatever assets she had left. She rented a small studio apartment in a less glamorous part of town. No longer the face of a luxury firm, Natalie opened a tiny boutique design studio focusing on minimalistic decor for modest homes. It was a humble attempt to rebuild her life without the stolen resources. Former friends had abandoned her, and the spotlight she once craved had turned to glare with judgment. Daniel, on the other hand, faced heavier charges for fraud. Court hearings drained his finances and his spirit. He was last seen flitting between low-level gigs, trying to pay off debt. The dream of grandeur he'd clutched had slipped through his fingers. Sometimes Layla wondered if Natalie truly found redemption or if her quiet retreat was just survival. Either way, Layla remained at a distance. Forgiveness didn't require her to invite Natalie back into her life. She hoped her sister would learn from her mistakes. But that journey was Natalie's alone. Between corporate expansions and high-profile projects, Layla was struck by a personal calling. She established the Monroe Foundation, dedicated to supporting underprivileged youth who dreamed of entering architecture, engineering, and design fields. The foundation offered scholarships, workshops, and mentorship programs. During the foundation's launch event, she stood before a group of wide-eyed teenagers, many from economically challenged backgrounds. She spoke candidly about her own trials, how her fiancé and sister betrayed her, how she lost almost everything, and how she rose again. Her voice carried the empathy of one who had walked through fire. "I'm not here to tell you life is easy," she said, scanning the room. "I'm here to show you that no matter how unfair your circumstances or how big your failures, there is still a path forward. You can create beauty out of chaos if you have the will and support to keep trying." The applause was immediate and genuine. Students crowded around, asking questions, sharing dreams. In their eyes, she saw a reflection of her younger self. And it reaffirmed her purpose. Success was truly meaningful when it empowered others. In the midst of her philanthropic ventures and architectural achievements, Layla's personal joy found its pinnacle. Jordan proposed in the very place where they had shared their first post-high school dinner, an intimate corner table at the upscale restaurant. Soft candlelight flickered on their faces as Jordan slid a ring onto her finger. "I've watched you transform heartbreak into greatness," he whispered, tears in his eyes. "I love your spirit, your determination, your heart. Marry me, Layla Monroe, and let's keep building this future together." She answered with an unreserved yes, tears streaming down her cheeks. This time, it felt different. No illusions, just two people who had seen each other at their worst and best, choosing to stand side by side. Their wedding was a modest but elegant affair, held in the restored Athena Theater. Standing beneath the ornate archways, now gleaming with renewed grandeur, they exchanged vows that resonated with authenticity and hope. Family, friends, and colleagues gathered, applauding a union forged by shared vision and mutual respect. Layla locked eyes with Jordan, heart aflutter. She recalled the shattered version of herself that once stood in these same halls during the rough phases of restoration. Now, she felt whole, at peace, and brimming with love. When rumors circulated that literary agents were interested in Layla's story, she initially hesitated. The wound of betrayal, while mostly healed, was still personal. Did she want to bear her soul in print? Ultimately, she decided that sharing her journey could inspire others. She signed a deal with a prominent publisher to write Blueprints of Resilience, a memoir detailing her path from heartbreak to architectural acclaim. Writing was both cathartic and challenging. She revisited painful memories, finding out about Natalie's affair, losing her firm, crashing back at her parents' home. Yet, she also relived the small triumphs. That first call from Mr. Jacobs, Jordan's investment offer, the Athena Theater's resurrection. Upon release, the memoir skyrocketed to the bestseller lists. Critics praised its honesty and motivational tone. Readers left messages on her social media accounts, thanking her for encouraging them through their own dark times. Layla, now an author as well, did book tours, speaking to packed auditoriums about overcoming betrayal and focusing on one's calling. The more she shared, the more she realized that her story belonged to everyone who had ever been wronged, lost everything, and fought their way back to the light. Prestigious awards soon followed. Leading architecture associations recognized Layla's eco-city design, hailing it as a milestone in sustainable development. Her name appeared alongside legendary architects, some of whom she'd idolized as a student. In an emotional ceremony, she was presented with the Global Green Innovator Award. Clutching the trophy, Layla stood at the podium, voice quivering with emotion. "I used to believe life was a straight line from dream to success. Now I know it's a winding road filled with detours and heartbreak. But every twist shapes who we become. Thank you for honoring that journey today." The audience erupted in applause. Jordan, watching from the front row, flashed her a proud smile that said, "You've made it." But beneath her polished exterior, Layla felt a profound humility. She hadn't just made it, she had transformed adversity into something beautiful and transcendent. At an industry gala in New York, she spotted Natalie lingering by a modern art installation in the foyer. The air was charged with significance, their first face-to-face meeting outside the courtroom since everything went down. Natalie, dressed in a subdued navy gown, stepped forward. Her eyes darted around, aware of curious onlookers. "Layla, I didn't expect to see you here." Layla raised her chin. "It's a big event for architects and designers." Natalie nodded, swallowing hard. "I saw your acceptance speech for the Global Green Innovator Award. You were amazing. Congratulations." An awkward pause stretched between them, memories of sisterhood colliding with lingering resentment. Layla studied her sister's face, noting the tension lines and the subdued sadness in her eyes. "Thank you," she finally said. "How have you been?" Natalie hesitated. "Trying to rebuild. I'm focusing on small clients, living a quieter life. I'm working to pay back what I can. I wanted you to know I'm proud of you. Always have been." A wave of raw emotion swept over Layla. She mustered a smile, albeit bittersweet. "I hope you find the peace you're looking for, Natalie." They exchanged a fragile hug, neither quite sure what it meant for the future. But the moment felt like closure. As they parted ways, Layla realized she'd been carrying lingering guilt, anger, and regret for too long. Now, she was finally ready to put it all behind her. Late one evening, Layla found herself standing on the rooftop of the first building she ever designed, one from her earliest portfolio, back when she was starry-eyed and hopeful. Though she no longer owned it, the current owner happily granted her access. She gazed at the city lights sprawling into the distance. A soft breeze tousled her hair. Behind her lay a story of betrayal and heartbreak, of illusions shattered by those she loved. Yet, through that storm, she discovered her true worth. She had rebuilt her career, reclaimed her passion, and found a love rooted in respect and shared dreams. Now, the world regarded her as a pioneer of sustainable architecture, a mogul leading an empire, a philanthropist changing young lives, a best-selling author, and a woman who triumphed against all odds. In the hush of the night, she closed her eyes, savoring the sense of accomplishment and gratitude blossoming within her. Taking one last look at the lights shimmering below, she felt the promise of what lay ahead. She wasn't done creating, innovating, and giving back. The blueprint of her life was still unfolding, each line a testament to resilience, each corner shaped by lessons learned. Layla Monroe turned away from the edge, ready to descend the stairs and step into the next phase of her extraordinary journey. A journey she had earned through heartbreak, courage, and an unyielding belief in herself. I'm glad you made it to the end. I hope you enjoyed the story. Please go ahead and generously hit that like button and subscribe for more captivating tales like this. We'd love to hear from you. What lessons have you learned from this story? Share your thoughts in the comments below. See you in the next story.